Hi, thank you so much for coming in today to talk about your child.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. I've loved having Ava in my classroom this quarter, and she really adds a lot to our family classroom. She is so full of energy and very helpful, and I've really noticed that about her. She's always helping her peers throughout the day and checking on people if they're crying and things like that. She just has a really caring heart, and so it's been a pleasure to work with her. You're welcome. So specifically with math this quarter with Ava, we have been working on like counting collections. Basically that is like a sum of objects and trying to count all of those in strategic ways that makes it easier than just counting it by ones. So we've been working on that a lot this semester. Quick images, so that's basically like having 10 frames and they have dots on them, and you would like flash it really quickly, and she would try and she would tell me how many dots there are without counting them, like using mental math strategies to show and subitizing to show like how many dots there were. So that is also something we've been working on. Place value, and we've been doing a lot of math games just to try to get them engaged with math and having fun with it. I think would be really beneficial for Ava. So those are some things we've been working on this semester. That's really focusing a lot on counting, subitizing, and algebraic reasoning, and so she has been doing a lot of one-on-one work with me, but then also she works really well in groups and with her peers, and they have math centers and they go to all their different centers, and she works really well with everyone. But yes, we have been doing a lot of one-on-one work this semester.
That is great to hear.
Yeah. So more specifically, I would love to talk to you about things that Ava is really good at, and some things that I could say that I think she really understands and gets. So I think she is really good with when it comes to subitizing, which is basically knowing how many there are of something without having to count. It's like in your head when you see it. She's really good at recognizing like a pattern in the rows of 5 presented within the 10 frames. So if like she knows in the 10 frames this is 5 and this is 5, and I've watched her whenever she does it, she always knows if the 5 are filled in a row or not. So she's really good at and comfortable with 5s, I would say, when it comes to things like that. With counting, I think she's really mastered the skill of even and odds. She's super good at that. She has a really cool strategy that she uses where she gives them like a buddy. So each, I have to sneeze. They went away. Anyways, she has like googly eyes as something that we used one time, and she will give each googly eye a pair, and then if there's a googly eye left over without a pair, she knows that it's odd. So I would say she's really good at that. She's also very good at counting by 2s up to 20, and her number skills and counting skills within 20 is so strong. She really understands that. She's also very good at addition to 20 within 20, and so she also, I think Ava does a really good job at monitoring herself. She a lot of times within counting, she will know if she miscounted or not, and that's a really important skill for children to have. So it's really impressive. She's super engaged in the lessons and she wants to learn, and I think that has been really encouraging this semester. And something that I think Ava is also very strong in is direct modeling. So with that, if I said to her 4 plus 5, and like what does that equal, like if I could put cubes in front of her, she would pull out 4 cubes, count it 1, 2, 3, 4, and then she'd pull out separately 5 cubes and count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then she would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then she would know that it's 9. So she's very good at direct modeling, which is super helpful to be able to do. And she counts on her fingers, which is a great strategy. That's really helpful in the classroom. So I think that she's really strong at all of those things. So yeah,
That's so good to hear.
yes. With that, I also want to talk to you about some things I think Ava and I are working on growth in. And so I feel like I definitely want to speak to you about some things that we are going to continue doing to teach her even more. So going back to like the subtizing, although she's really comfortable working, subtizing with the 5s and everything, we are still working on 10s to get that a little bit more routine. She can do it. I think that it's not as quick as we necessarily would like subtizing to be. And so we're still working on the 10s, and one time I flashed her a 20 frame just to see what happens. I explained that there's 20, and so that's 4 rows of 5, and I flashed it to her, and that one was very challenging. So I think moving forward, we're gonna work really on that area and subtizing, because subtizing is important because it makes math easier later on. To like quickly see math without having to count is really helpful later on when math gets more challenging. So we'll can address all of this by continuously flashing 10 frames to Ava until they get more comfortable with the numbers and they don't do the counting with their fingers or like pointing to them. They can just know it in their head. And so I also think I'm going to point out to her groupings that could make it easier for her to recognize. Like using the 5, she's really good at that. So it's like, okay, if you have a row of 5 and there's only 4 filled in, then like, so recognizing patterns and groups might be helpful. So I think that's something that we're going to continue to work on. And then once that's down, maybe we'll start working on the 20s. Also with counting. So as I said, she's awesome at counting up to 20, but once we get in the 20 range, it gets a little bit more challenging for Ava. So one time when we tried counting googly eyes for the county collections, there was 50. She was very good at self-monitoring, as I said. We would count it, and then she realized that she miscounted, and then we'd count it again, and she realized she miscounted. And so there was a few times that she miscounted, but on the 4th try, I'm pretty sure we got there, and it was really cool. But obviously, like, we want to get better at all of those things. And so counting is a very important concept to have for anything within math. And so we'll address this by challenging Ava to count up to higher quantities and giving her opportunities in class to help me with counting things. Like she can go count all of the sharpened pencils in the bucket, and then that makes her feel helpful because that's something in her personality that she really enjoys, and that can make her feel helpful. And then it challenges her to count large quantities, and she can work on her self-monitoring and do it multiple times, and I think that'll be really helpful for her. I also want to have a number line at her desk that has 1 to 100. There are some numbers that she does skip a lot, like 27 and like 39, and those are more like odd numbers, so we don't work with them as much, so it makes a lot of sense. But I want to get her more familiar with that. So we will be working on that and showing her on the number line, working with number line a lot more, and I think that will help with her counting, for her to see the pattern in numbers, you know? So that is something we'll also work on. Yes. So those are, lastly, I think one more thing that's important to talk about with Ava is place value. I gave her a place value test one time, and it was like 16 cubes. It was like the number 16, and I pulled out 6, like she counted 16 cubes, and and she put them all out. And then I counted out 6 of them and I put them with the 6. And then I said, Ava, will you show me what the 1 represents in it? And she only took 1 cube and put it on the 1, but it was supposed to be 10, the rest of the cubes. So we're still working on place value, and that's very important because it helps them, it's a foundation for them performing basic operations like adding and subtracting. And so we're going to address this with some tangible visual representations of double-digit numbers, and do 10 rods and more grouping activities to scaffold this. But I'm really proud of her, and it's been very cool to work with her this quarter. Do you have any questions or anything you want to ask?
I think I'm good with any questions. But thank you so much for having me.
Of course.